Hey everybody, I'm Tim here with another legislative bummer for you. And you're watching Cigars Daily. I want to invite you to get more out of all of our videos when you watch them now on cigarsdailyplus.com. We're always working to make it better on Cigars Daily Plus. In this video, I'm puffing on the M by Macanudo because it has the characterizing flavor of coffee added to it, making it a flavored cigar. And that's what's in question right now. And I'll tell you guys up front, I want you to drop your opinion down below on this topic. What do you think about a ban on flavored and infused cigars? Even broader than that, there's this talk about banning menthol cigarettes. It's a huge conversation that's going on in our country right now, especially if you're into flavored cigars. And so I'm going to take you through some of the details and what we know, and quite frankly, some of what we don't know. But I'm going to catch up with you guys in the comments, so please leave your opinion down there. Here we are once again talking about another legislative nightmare for people who like premium cigars. It seems like we end up here at least a few times a year talking about things that people in Washington are going to make a decision on stamp with a stamp, and it'll change all our lives for the better or for the worse. And this time it has to do with flavored and infused cigars. This came up earlier this week when the FDA announced, and really was first broke by the Washington Post, that they were going to put a ban on menthol cigarettes. But as with most issues, the premium cigar industry is always sitting in the corner of the tobacco world, biting its nails, seeing how is this going to affect us? And in this case, it seems like the ban on menthol cigarettes is going to extend beyond that into cigars that have a characterizing flavor. Those are sticks that you would call flavored cigars. So today I want to take you through some of the things that are going to be coming up in the upcoming months and maybe even years related to this issue. And so with no further ado, here's what we know right now. Working and living in the cigar world like I do, I get to talk with a lot of guys and gals who regularly enjoy a premium cigar. And among this people group, it seems like the FDA is commonly viewed as the enemy, which from the perspective of a lot of cigar smokers seems to make sense. The FDA is the organization that hands down the regulations that prohibit the cigar industry from working and acting freely. And in a country where we're supposed to have a free market, that's kind of a big deal. But when it comes to the banning of flavored cigars, this one's actually coming from a different side of things, at least as I see it. You see, the FDA was court ordered to respond to a petition that was put out back in 2013 by about a dozen different anti-tobacco groups. It was a petition that was put out, signed by people, and then the FDA didn't do much about it until one anti-tobacco group sued the FDA and basically said, do something about menthol cigarettes. Now, premium cigars did get wrapped in with all of that, and one thing that's important to note, and especially important to understand if you like premium cigars, is regulations that affect our industry are so often part of other larger rulings that happen. Cigars are such a tiny percentage of tobacco sold in America every single year that it doesn't entirely make sense to create all kinds of rules and regulations just around cigars. In fact, I would say many of the regulations on cigars have been footnotes in larger bills, and certainly is the case here with flavored cigars. But what's come down recently from the FDA is they've said they're going to move an act to ban menthol cigarettes as well as characterizing flavors in all cigars. And that is not quite as black and white as it sounds. Let me try to explain. In a statement put out by the FDA a couple days ago, they said the FDA is working toward issuing proposed product standards within the next year to ban menthol as a characterizing flavor in cigarettes and ban all characterizing flavors, including menthol, in cigars. However, for the cigar industry, this is kind of a confusing notion to sort of ponder. When it comes to flavored cigars or premium cigars or traditional cigars or the different kinds that are out there, there are actually some separations that are pretty critical to understand. You see, it was less than 2 years ago that we first got an actual legal definition of what a premium cigar is, which sounds like kind of a simple thing, but it's actually a massive deal. Like if I asked you to tell me what's the difference between a premium cigar that you would find at a local cigar lounge and something that you might find behind the counter at a gas station, what would you say? It's hard to tell like right out the gate, but there are actually some pretty substantial differentiations. First of all, a premium cigar, according to the new definition, is all whole leaf wrapper on the outside. It's got a whole leaf binder underneath. It's at least 50% long filler by volume, and it also has no characterizing flavors. It's interesting that when the government put out a definition for premium cigars, they excluded even flavored premium cigars from being in that definition. So if you want to pick something up and know that it's truly a premium stick, it's gotta not be flavored at all. But it leaves a huge question about cigars like the M by Macanudo. This fits the definition of a premium cigar in every single way with one exception. It has a characterizing flavor like coffee. There's a little bit of sweetness on this cigar. At the same time, this is still very different from the type of thing that you would find in a gas station. I'm talking about cigars that are machine made and mass produced in absolute bulk volume. They are not entirely tobacco, or at least if they have like tobacco, they're tobacco paper, like that's been shredded up and turned into a sheet that they roll up into a binder. It's a very different product, and I think many would argue it should be treated differently. And that has been much of the question for the premium cigar industry that's come down. Is this ban on menthol cigarettes and characterizing flavors in cigars going to also apply to the brands that like flavored loving cigar smokers know and love? Stuff like the M by Macanudo, and like acid cigars and Tobacco Especial and Isla del Sol, and so many things that people are enjoying right now. It's something that we haven't had a lot of clarity on, but there's a couple of things we can kind of go off. In the same statement where the FDA proposed this ban, they also said something particularly interesting. They said, flavored, mass-produced cigars and cigarillos are combusted tobacco products that can closely resemble cigarettes, pose many of the same public health problems, and are disproportionately popular among youth and other populations. The fascinating part is that they talk about mass-produced cigars and cigarillos, which would seem to create a difference between premium flavored cigars and stuff that's sort of mass-produced to be sold in gas stations. The only problem is it doesn't expressly exclude premium flavored cigars, which, as we talked about by definition, are not premium in and among themselves. Right now, legally, it would seem like flavored cigars fit in with a lot of the mass market or flavored cigarillo stuff, but there are a couple other compelling things that might give us a little bit of hope. In an article written about this very topic on halfwheel.com, editor Charlie Minato mentions a phone call with the FDA where Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who is a big cigar proponent, asked very specifically about how this was going to impact premium flavored cigars. And even though that's not a distinction that exists, technically premium flavored cigars are the same as mass market flavored cigars, the FDA didn't really give a substantial or clear answer on how that was going to be impacted. But at the same time, the FDA is currently studying the effects of premium cigars on the population. What are the health implications? What are the risks? There are things that the FDA is working even now to understand. The important thing, and what really actually impressed me as I researched this issue, is that flavored cigars were not excluded from the studies that were being done on premium cigars. Even though premium cigars are defined as not being characterized by a flavor, they may very likely be part of the studies to determine what are the health implications of the stuff that is sold in cigar shops on the American public. So to sort of sum up what I've told you here, when it comes to the issue of a ban on flavored premium cigars, we still don't really know a whole lot. There is so much still to be told. It certainly seems like there is a case to be made for flavored cigars being treated the same as premium cigars, which is hopefully different, but there's nothing stopping anybody from treating flavored cigars like the mass market produced machine made crap that you can find outside of a cigar shop. One thing that you can almost definitely count on, though, is lawsuits from the cigar industry. There are some major world players in the industry of premium cigars who have a vested interest in protecting the stuff that many of you really enjoy. And so you can watch over the next year, there is going to be some lawsuits popping up to try to, at the very least, protect premium flavored cigars, which is a term that right now is quite technically made up. But there's one more massive thing for all of us to consider, and that is the traditional and historical past in America when the government has banned certain products before. We all remember back in the time of Prohibition, when the government said alcohol was illegal, it created a massive black market for alcohol in America. And I don't think that I need to point back to what happened when the government outlawed marijuana. Even right now, all cigar smokers are scratching their head, well, like it's getting tougher to enjoy a cigar, but marijuana is being legalized everywhere because the ban just quite frankly didn't work. It's a big challenge when it comes to just making products illegal. Typically, the government now tries to make them less accessible and harder to use in hopes that people will just give up on them. But at the same time, this is something that requires a lot more conversation and in my opinion, a lot of focus and attention from people who enjoy these freedoms. If there's one thing that we are guilty of in America today, it's not working and fighting to protect our own freedoms from being legislated away from us. And so I will encourage you, please take action. Sign the petitions that have already come out to encourage your local governing officials to fight legislation that's going to ban the things that you enjoy, that you are making a informed decision as an adult about. And again, I want to hear from you guys. Drop your comments down below about all this stuff. There's so much still to be known about this, and it's for sure something that I'm going to be following. By my own estimation, if they were to ban flavored cigars like tomorrow, it might wipe out a little more than 10% of our total inventory at Cigars Daily. It's something that is certainly a concern here, and certainly not a freedom we want to see reduced any more than it has been. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to thank all of you who support Cigars Daily. Please do check this video out on cigarsdailyplus.com. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.